I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be along. Yeah, I hope and pray that I'll go.
This is Bill Scher, and good morning to you all on the Liberal Oasis radio show. It's been another just fantastic week. Another delightful week of news. Good news start to finish. Let's see. We have continued occupation going indefinitely. We have Osama bin Laden still putting out videotapes. And we have oil at $80 a barrel. And I'm sure there is nothing connected with any of those things. Let's top this off with our lamest of duck presidents, George W. Bush, from his televised speech on Thursday.
At the same time, they understand that their success will require U.S. political, economic, and security engagement that extends beyond my presidency. These Iraqi leaders have asked for an enduring relationship with America.
Enduring.
We are ready to begin building that relationship.
Just beginning.
In a way that protects our interests in the region and requires many fewer American troops.
An enduring relationship. How delightful. We're going to be best friends.
These guys are my best friends, through thick and thin. We've always been together, we're four of a kind, having fun all day, palling around and laughing away. Just best friends are we.
Just the Iraqis decided to come up to us and ask us, would you like to have an enduring relationship with us? That would be so swell. What a great idea. As it so happens, we're already building at least 4 enduring military bases. How convenient that you now want an enduring relationship with us. That's just great. Now, why might we be building these permanent military bases? Well, we can ask Senator Dick Lugar, who said back in July that, quote, some level of American military presence on temporary or permanent military bases, who cares which, is needed to, quote, protect oil flows. That's Senator Dick Lugar, Republican from Indiana. And there's another senator, you might have heard of him before, Larry Craig, I believe is his name.
I am not gay. I never have been gay.
Thank you for that information. He also said in July that, quote, a premature withdrawal from Iraq would have dire consequences with our economy and our energy supply. And he also lamented that we don't talk about this issue. We only talk about it in, quote, hushed terms. We should talk about it loudly. We should let everybody know we have an enduring relationship with Iraq because we need their oil. Well, let's talk about that. You know, I have a conservative pen pal, from my blogging at LiberalOasis.com. He once confided in me that he expected, and I'm sure he's not alone in this, he expected that going to war with Iraq would provide cheap oil and gas for us. I think whether you were for or against the war, you could expect that might be an outcome of that endeavor. And yet, well, let me just backtrack for a second. In 2000, when Governor George W. Bush was running for president, oil per barrel cost around $30. And it was up from the around $20 that it had been for most of the Clinton administration. And George Bush told reporters, this is in the New York Times, June of 2000, quote, this is how he would get the price of oil down. Quote, I would work with our friends in OPEC to convince them to open up the spigot, to increase the supply, use the capital that my administration will earn with the Kuwaitis or the Saudis, and convince them to open up the spigot. Ours is a nation that helped Kuwait and the Saudis, and you'd think we'd have the capital necessary to convince them to increase the crude supplies. And then he topped that off by saying, the fundamental question is, will I be a successful president when it comes to foreign policy? That is when the price of crude was around 30 a barrel. And this week, it hit 80. So let's judge Bush on his own criteria. Has he been a successful president when it comes to foreign policy? And clearly that answer is no. When you go into a country, when you go into a sovereign nation and occupy them, with at least part of the rationale being to protect oil flows, as it turns out, you do not get a stable supply of oil. You do not get an affordable and cheap supply of oil. You destabilize that country. You destabilize that region, and the price of oil goes up, and the supply becomes less secure. That is what happens. At the same time, now some might say, we're going to talk later in this broadcast with David Roberts from Grist Magazine, arguably the preeminent environmental blogger in the nation. You know, when the price of oil tends to go up, you see conservatives start attacking liberals for being hypocritical. You guys want the price of oil to go up. You guys want people to buy other renewable fuels. So now you're complaining that it's going up. You're a bunch of hypocrites. Well, yes, it would be nice if the price of fuels was, there was an incentive to purchase renewable fuels instead of dirty fossil fuels. But the problem is right now, we have no choice. All you have is dirty fossil fuels. So when that price goes up and you got to get to work and go home, that sticks you in the wallet. That upsets your family budget. And because it's so volatile, you can't even map out over the course of a year how much you're going to have to pay just to commute, just to get around. So sure, if we had a comprehensive energy policy and foreign policy that invested in clean fuels, this wouldn't be a big deal. But we are addicted to oil. George Bush told us, in fact, that we're addicted to oil. And then he kept the needle in. He passed an energy bill. He signed an energy bill earlier in his term that subsidizes oil and coal, while he effectively starves wind and solar and geothermal. So this is no free market. This is not oil is beating wind and solar on the free market. There is no free market here. We are propping up the dirty. We are occupying foreign lands in part to protect oil flow. And the whole Megillah ain't working. And that is why we can decide that George Bush has been a failure when it comes to foreign policy, and it affects you every time you fill up at the gas tank. You feel that destabilization every day. And we need to have an entirely different foreign policy and energy policy if we're going to get out of this mess.
But I'm the decider, and I decide what is best.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for deciding that we're going to stay forever. Thank you for informing us this Thursday on TV. Much appreciated. When we come back, we're going to talk to David Roberts from Grist Magazine, preeminent environmental blogger, what we can do right now to change our energy policy, to combat global warming, and get us more energy independent.